WNST, Taos in Baltimore. Not even halfway through it here at this point. Obviously, the Ravens losing to the Steelers on Sunday. The tragedies in Las Vegas. Later in the day, it was Tom Petty. And then the Ravens got to go out to Oakland this weekend. This guy sold his tickets over the weekend. He did watch the game. He will be hosting the SSV on WNST here this Thursday to get Ravens fans ready for the weekend, as well as probably some baseball fans ready for playoff activity. We welcome Dennis Kolatzis back on from Coons Ford at Security Boulevard, joining us here to discuss all things Ravens. And, if you pick a week to skip a game, it wasn't a bad week to not go, to be honest with you, Dennis.
Yeah, the optics weren't good. The audio wasn't good coming from the stadium. All the boos cascading from the home team fans. So, look, if there was ever a time to stay at home, I picked a good one. But still, as a 22-year season ticket holder, I watch the game because that's what we do, right? At the end of the day, we love football, and you try to block out all the other stuff and focus on the task at hand, what's going on in the field, and how does the team look against a team that may be representing the AFC in the Super Bowl this year.
Well, where the Ravens' woes begin, really, look, when Bisciotti takes the podium at the end of the year, no matter how this thing turns out, they won't want to talk about the injuries, but I don't know that you can overcome Brandon Williams and Marshall Yanda not being in there. And, as Brian Billick pointed out earlier this week when I chatted with him, then you see Ronnie Stanley down on the turf. Then you look and you see Weddle down on the turf. Then you look and see the Zadarius Smith down on the turf. And, on and on and on. There will be more injuries, but they've had about enough right now, right?
Yeah, but you know what? I think now missing the playoffs 3 out of 4 years, and there's only so much you can blame on injuries, Nestor. Football is a classic next man up game. We've heard that narrative for years now. All teams have injuries. Some teams adapt and get better. Some teams don't. This team doesn't have a ton of depth. They don't have a ton of quality depth. They've got some dead cap money for sure. They've got a lot of money tied up in Joe Flacco's contract. They went all in with the defense this year, ignored the offense for the most part, and now with a struggling offense and the defense not being able to stop the Steelers, things don't look good. But look, 2-2, we've seen this movie before. We don't know how it's going to end. It doesn't look good at this point, admittedly, but look, lots of time to play ball, and we'll see what happens and then, the next game.
Well, Luke has written extensively, and we're going to talk to him more later on in the week about this, drafting on defense. Yeah. And I don't say ignoring the offense, but it certainly has not been a balanced account of trying to get better on both sides of the ball above and beyond the money they've paid the Flacco and drafting Ronnie Stanley. I'll point that out. And Brashad Perryman, I got to throw that out, and I know that's a four-letter word around here right now.
Well, on that deep pass to Brashard, don't know if it was overthrown, don't know if anybody else would have caught that. The effort certainly wasn't there, but the outcome wasn't. But they've definitely they've missed more than they've hit on the offensive side of the ball. And I've always been a trenches type of a guy, Nestor, that I love building a team from the inside out. I love the defensive line. I love the offensive line. And they certainly left themselves open. But look, they got Austin Howard at right tackle, and he's been pretty good so far. He's been a pretty solid pickup. But the interior of the line has been decimated for sure. They can't get continuity. Only one projected starter, still in the field for the Ravens and on that offensive line, and that's Ronnie Stanley. As you mentioned, he got rolled up as they got rolled up on the other day. But they've got some issues, and they look great the first 2 games, not so great the last 2 games. Look, the Jacksonville game was a disaster. We throw that one out. We say that's the one horrible game they've had all year. They got beat by a pretty good football team, so that's the other side of the equation. Were they that bad, or is Pittsburgh that good? Pittsburgh was sore from losing that overtime game against the Chicago Bears. They wanted to stop the run, which they really didn't. Alex Collins, when he wasn't putting the ball on the ground, was putting up big yards, 2 huge runs for the Ravens. But the Steelers, their offensive line, gave a clinic. They really outplayed the Ravens. The Ravens never adjusted to the run. They were physical, and look, they look like a very much like a very, very good team as opposed to the Ravens that at this point look to be a middle-of-the-road 8-8 team at this point of the season.
He is Dennis Kolatzis. He's at Coons Ford of Security Boulevard, of course, hosting the SSV on WNST, as heard here Thursdays from 3 until 5. And, of course, sponsoring our WNST text service, which is always accurate, always first, never spam, and sometimes brings bad news forward. Dennis, the Flacco situation, what do you have to say on him at this point? We're at the quarter pole. Clearly he knows it's not good enough. It's not good enough, and I've talked at length about this week, but I don't think he can run for a first down right now. I don't know whether he looks ginger, he looks stiff. I don't think he's throwing the ball particularly poorly, but I also don't know that he's going to go down the field 60 yards deep either. I don't know whether they're babying him, whether he's babying the back, but I do know this. I don't think he has the foots anymore to get outside the pocket and find the sticks. And if he can't do that, I've used the water buffalo term from Scott Mitchell and DeMarco Farr from 2 generations ago now, but you can't be immobile back there. And right now, it doesn't look good. He doesn't look right, whatever that means.
No, you watch a kid like Deshaun Watson run all over the place, and Cam Newton, and you Carson Wentz. You see these quarterbacks buying time with their legs, extending plays. We see Roethlisberger do it, although not as much as he used to when he was younger. Being an immobile quarterback, I don't think works in today's NFL. You just mentioned it. The other part of it, and Luke put this in one of his blogs, that when Kubiak was here, they made Flacco focus on his footwork, on fundamentals. And I guess since Gary's departed, Joe no longer does it. I know he's always had a grudge doing that. You had to push him to work on his fundamentals. I think he owes that to the team to get better all the time. Now, physically, how banged up he is, we don't know. But he did make a couple of throws that I don't know that many quarterbacks were capable of making. I mean, when he put that touchdown pass to Wallace, I mean, you talk about spreading a needle. But I also think that's part of the problem with Joe Flacco, Nestor. I think when he gets going, when he completes 4 or 5 in a row, sometimes he gets careless with the football. So you get the tip ball, you get the interception, you get Shazier making a phenomenal play and turning around. And that's what happens. 10 straight games with interception. It's not a really good streak to have, and hopefully he can break it soon. But they've got the big contract with Joe, so he's not tradable at this stage of his career, not for all that cap money they have tied up in him. So they have quite a dilemma. But the guy does flash at times and make plays that not many quarterbacks are capable of making.
Are they ever going to be able to run the ball with this line and with this running game right now? And certainly this young man who carried the ball, and as Harbaugh said in his postgame, not going to be carrying the ball long if he drops the ball. But, you're picking up guys off the street right now, putting them in there.
Yeah, you know what? I would give him the ball until he couldn't carry it anymore. Look, if he puts the ball on the ground once a game and can gain 175, 200 yards, I mean, basically he had 80-some yards and 9 carries. He is their best option right now. We can see it when he gets in there. He makes things happen. He is explosive. He does run north and south.
He sees the field well. He has vision. And we haven't seen that since Forsett. Once you've seen Justin Forsett run the ball the way he did in that Kubiak offense, I mean, I've never seen a guy with better vision. And that was part of being a 30-year-old, not oft-used, slight, still a lot of speed at that point. I mean, he had an incredible skill set for doing that for 1 year. I smell that a little bit with this kid, right?
Yeah, you know what? The thing is, I had somebody today say, he's very fast. He's not that fast. He only ran a 4.59 at his combine, but he's fast enough. He can break those 30, 40, 50-yard runs. Now, maybe he can't go 80, but who cares? He can get yards in chunks, 20, 30, 40 yards. Balance, vision, power, instincts. The guy was born to be an NFL running back. That's why if I'm Harbaugh, I get the ball to this kid not 9 times a game, but 20 to 25 times a game. Let him get after it. Let him make things happen. And then hopefully that'll make the defense come up to try to stop him and with Joe Flacco and hit him deep or across the middle with a play-action pass. That's the only shot I see of these guys having an effective offense. It won't be with Terrence West. What do you have, like minus 7 yards or 4 carries or vice versa? He's not the answer. Neither is Buck Allen. Their best way forward is to give Alex Collins the ball. They need to go back to his college tape at Arkansas, see what worked well for him back then, devise those schemes, and play to this young man's strength, and hopefully he can hold on to the football. But I wouldn't, if he drops the ball again, I certainly wouldn't bench him because he's your best running back on the squad right now by far.
Dennis, bright spots on the team. We've talked about a few things, Marlon Humphrey being at least one of those things. I don't know how many there are, but anything you want to point out positive that you glean here at the quarter pole?
Well, I mean, look, they got beat on offense, defense, and special teams. Bright spots.
8 quarters in a row now, right? It's literally eight straight quarters they've been drubbed.
Yeah, I can't say. Well, there's one bright spot coaching. I thought the red flag challenge when I didn't think that was interception to Weddle. I thought it was a bad challenge and said so, and that was overturned. So that was good. And but we're picking here. We're down to Rams and seeds, and Nestor. That and Collins. I don't think you can. Mike Wallace had a few catches. Ben Watson had a couple catches. The defense was horrible. No red stars there. Maybe Humphrey, you go to him. But, Lardarius Webb was horrible. The linebackers were lost in coverage the entire day.
Suggs has gotten kind of quiet lately, right? But Zadarius Smith flashed a little bit. Juden flashes a little bit, right?
Yeah, a little bit. But, look, the offensive line of the Steelers just had the way with the Ravens. I mean, they just couldn't stop that counter tray and the Castro and Pouncey and Nix out in front of Bell the entire day. And even James Conner, the rookie from Pitt, when he got in there, he was able to get 6-8 yards a carry. So they were gashed, and that's the most disappointing thing. You expect right now a poor performance by the offense, but I think all of us Ravens fans expected a better showing by the defense in front of their home crowd. We lost a couple of guys off of the line, but this line was supposed to be very, very deep, and they got completely blown off the ball by the Pittsburgh Steelers.
He is Dennis Kalatzos. He is SSV on WNST. He'll be here on Thursday from 3 until 5, driving you home, getting you ready for the weekend. Dennis, Oakland this weekend. Some thoughts?
David Carr, he got some back spasms yesterday, got his neck twisted up. He said he's going to be ready to play. I believe he'll be ready to play, but even if he doesn't play, I can't see the Ravens going to the West Coast and coming back home with a victory. They've struggled there. They've struggled in the West Coast trips lately. This is when you find out what you have in your locker room, your leadership. If they can somehow go out there and get a victory, but with that offense with Amari Cooper and Marshawn Lynch and that defense with Khalil Mack, and their offensive line is also extremely good. Kelechi Osemele done a great job since he's gone out there to play left guard for them, but they're going to have a very hard time, I think, going out there. Of course, we'll root for them and pray that they bring home a victory, but it's a tough matchup all the way around.
All right, what's going on out of Coons Ford to Security Boulevard, Dennis? I know you got some things happening there as the leaves change, and I know you do little festival things out there on Saturday. I see you out on the internet from time to time.
Yeah, we have a lot of fun with our customers, our employees. We feed everybody real well. We have gourmet food here every Saturday, but we also have fun during the week. It's still we had a very busy weekend. Ford is still supporting us. Ford Motor Company for Motor Credit with great deals. We have brand new 2018 F-150s on the lot. We've got the F-250s and 350s coming, and 2018 Mustangs. A lot of great products here.
When did the 2018s come in? Right now, they're there already?
I have them on the ground right now.
Really?
Yeah, I've got 2018s already, and
when do they start coming? Like August or like when really? August. Okay.
Yeah, they start trickling in, and right now I probably have about 500 brand new 17s in stock. And, of course, when that happens, we have big rebates and huge discounts, and you can save yourself $10,000 or so, particularly on a big truck.
That's when I got to keep you on speed dial, right around then, right?
Yeah, so, you know what, and look, price. We sell the first one because of price, and then we sell the rest of them on referrals because of our service. You know, that's what gets us our referrals is our service. We take care of our customers like no one else does after the fact. Same thing WNST does for their sponsors and everybody. You know, we work really hard for our people.
Hey, man, we appreciate all you do here. We'll see you on Thursday between 3 and 5. Anything left you want to say on the knee or the kneel or the call to prayer and call for unity before the game?
Yeah, you know what? It's funny how the media twists things around and that the fans didn't quite understand. No, the fans understood because I thought the PA announcer was very clear about the intent of the team. I think the fans booing was their message to the team was, look, just play football. We didn't come here to watch you guys kneel. We came to cheer you guys. You know, the Steelers didn't kneel, which I thought was very interesting. They stood up the entire time and put their hands over their heart. And you know what? I think that's what the Ravens have got to get back to is don't let all this political side stuff and whatever agendas that they have sidetrack them. Their job is to come in and win a football game next week at Oakland. All the other stuff I think is a distraction for what the main thing is supposed to be. So I don't know how you took it,
Well, for every team that
yesterday.
loses, it's going to be a distraction, right? Every week there are going to be 16 teams that lose, and that's going to be brought up. I don't think it necessarily bothers most of these guys, and haven't talked to most of them. They clearly know what they're stepping into, and they know what the stakes are, and they see Colin Kaepernick's lot in life as well. So, I don't think we've heard or seen the end of it. I'm going to have my own story to tell this week about sports bars around town. The fans taking an ad on them, and sports bars canceling radio shows like mine, where I've done a show for 7 years, and I'm going to be looking for a new home for our Ravens shows because the place that I've been doing them doesn't want the players in anymore. So, it's a fascinating trickle-down effect that seems to injure everyone but the players themselves, quite frankly.
Well, they're getting injured because of the lack of sponsors. I mean, when sponsors start pulling out, that's a big problem for the league itself. I know that I saw on social media you sat close to Villanueva's family.
No, they sat next to me. I mean, I literally was my right arm was next to his father. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, to me, I'm sure that they have a little bit different takes than a lot of people that we run into, and that's who I want to listen to is the people whose son has served in the military, and get their take on it. But I think when you take your focus away from the main thing, I mean, face it, football's an emotional sport. Your head's got to be right. Look, I can't even play golf if my head isn't right. Right? If I'm on a golf course thinking about work, my shots are going to be worse than usual. You can't tell me that if you're lining up against a guy who's 300 pounds, if your head isn't there, your head, heart, soul, body, everything, you're gonna have an outcome that's not going to be pleasant. So that's my only thing is I like to see everybody get on the same page. One voice, one team, one goal, and do what they get paid to do.
Well, it's hard enough because right now they're not good enough, right? Literally.
Yeah, so you're just compounding the problem if you're not focused, if you're splintered. Matt Skura and Ryan Jensen, those two cats didn't take a knee. It wasn't lost upon me. I don't see anybody else in the media making any kind of a deal about it, but they stood out. They wouldn't take a knee. So you can't tell me that these teams right now all over the league, not just the Ravens, I'm not picking on them, they've got to get together.
Always appreciate your time and your insights, Dennis. We're going to hear more on Thursday. We'll be following you out on the SSV on WNST. And, hey, baseball playoffs, too. So add that in. And Maryland going out to Columbus. Oh, and they're dropping the puck this week, too. We're playing real hockey. Pretty good week around here, Den.
Nothing wrong with that. I'm all in.
All in, and the leaves are falling on the trees. Coons Ford Security Boulevard sponsors our WNST tech service as well with Dennis. And, of course, if there's any breaking news, you get it first. Always, never spam. It's the way we do things around here. Our morning newspaper is sponsored by Planet Fitness and PlanetFitness.com. That comes at 7 a.m. each and every morning. That's free of charge and brought to you by Planet Fitness, where it's still $10 a month to get in the best shape of your life. I'm out on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Snapchat, Instagram, streaming live on our Facebook, as well as our YouTube WNSTV channel. I am Nestor. We are WNST.net, AM 1570, and WNST Towson, Baltimore, and we never stop talking Baltimore sports.